Okay, should be recording now.
Looks that way.
Really? All right, hey everybody, welcome to this last edition for 2023 of the BNS working group. Yeah, I don't know what's up with Ragnar. I haven't talked to him. Somebody just asked in the chat. That's a good question. If someone could ping him maybe and see if he wants to join. I know people were traveling like about a month ago, so the one previous result, I think Bitcoin Miami, but I don't know what he's been up to since then. Welcome, Gina.
Hi, Gina.
How's it going?
Hey, Gina.
Okay, well, why don't I just so first of all, Hank is not going to be able to make it today, and why don't I just share his update from him. He's working on so last time we were here, we talked about I think the takeaway was that we need to get some sort of better feedback from the community about what should be in BNS 2.0 and what shouldn't be, and so there was a discussion about what that feedback should be and what are the questions and how it should be done. And so Hank volunteered to create an app so we could do some sort of voting, like in some mechanism, just not necessarily like something that would like govern what the change would be, but just to get an idea of like, okay, this is what people are thinking on various features, because there's some that seem to be like non-controversial and some that seem to be very controversial, but it's really hard to tell like what the reality that is. So he messaged me to say he wouldn't be here and that he's been working on an app like about that. So I think we should expect to see an update from him next week. But like the way it works is that users can vote by signing with their Stacks wallet, and the data will all be public. So that's update from Hank.
Awesome.
Well,
And does anybody else have any other topics they'd like to discuss this week? Sorry not to have much prepared.
Oh yes, so I signed up for the BT Accelerator thing that's going on. So I got into that. I'm excited for it.
Congratulations.
And I'm hoping to see what app I could build around BNS or just domains in general. It's important. And with me, my main thing is just having a way to connect it with soulbound tokens and ZK proofs and seeing how that could work in that kind of way.
And what would you be interested in having that do? What would the functionality be?
So for me, it's just about like, so I've been watching what's happening with this project from Nike called .swoosh. If you guys heard of .swoosh, they're able to basically, so the whole power of domain is that it's able to be interoperable within many apps. So it doesn't matter what chain you're using or what site you're using, just like with Spotify and how with Shopify, they're able to implement ENS onto their website. And if you're a user, you could have ENS on there. So the whole thing about these domains is that you could literally have them on any platform. It doesn't matter if it's blockchain. So that's the killer use case right there. So I'm seeing with .swoosh, with Nike, they have these .swoosh domains, right? And they're currently working with Fortnite. So that means that, so recently I was able to connect my .swoosh name, which is like some random digits, .swoosh, to my Epic Games account, right? And because of that, I was able to get a soulbound token that I can't sell, but I could redeem in the future for future airdrops.
Okay, interesting. So it's sort of like a marketing thing.
Yeah, so it's basically a way to give people Web3 access without having to really think about Web3 in a way, right? So basically it's like a login. If you think about domains, it's a way to log into different apps without being too technical about Web3. Like, because you know how you could sign in with Google or sign with Facebook, right? So it's things like these that are really gonna make it mainstream. Well, hey, I'm signing in with BNS. That's it. But you kind of don't know it's really like a blockchain kind of app. You're just signing in with the BNS name, and it connects to any app anywhere. And that's a very good use case. And on my end, the reason why I want to connect things like ZK proofs is that it's a way to give people, this privacy, just privacy in general. Because if you think about just a login solution, you still have a problem with like data and, it being tracked and especially your AI. But if you add ZK proofs to it, where, okay, now my data is private, you can't tell where the information is coming from. So now you have a way to have private data with ZK proofs, and the person who's part of this community is getting a soulbound token that they can't sell. That's a loyal member of the community. So having all these three together is something very, very game changing for just naming and just logins in general, especially with AI and gaming.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I hadn't watched the previous video, Larry. So apologies if there's an overlap here. But I've just put like a little agenda in the sort of messages. With regards to BNS V2, what sort of ETA are we looking at with regards to that upgrade? Or is there a sort of an ETA or kind of a rough sort of date range, maybe?
I don't think there's an ETA like immediate ETA. I think that the next step is just to get like a view of what people want, and that's like the idea of the voting app that Hank's working. I was supposed to connect with him this past week, and I failed to do that. So I'll reach out to them like in the next week and see where he is in that. I mean, I guess I didn't realize he was going to build a whole app around this. I thought it was going to be like a very quick way to just like get some feedback, like simpler the better. Like I don't want to like as Patrick would say, over rotate on this. Like I think we get an idea of like what people want and what they don't, and that way we can point to some like, I don't want to say objective, but like concrete, like, well, like, 1 million names voted for this and like 2 of them voted against it. So, maybe you two don't really want this, but like 1 million names want it. So I don't know the community that means, but like, like just like as opposed to just like few people making decisions. That's what I would see. And like, I would like to sort of simplify that if, so maybe I'll try to connect with Hank this coming week and see what he's working on and see if we can make it less work and get something out there quicker. But I think that is just to like, okay, well, which of these features go into like a rewrite basically, like.
Yeah, I mean, with regards to yourself and Hank, are you both sort of both pretty dedicated to BNS development, or do you both really kind of have other things that you're working on and then BNS is kind of a bit of a side project sort of thing? I'm just trying to understand the development sort of position, with regards to BNS.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to, my understanding is that Mechanism is fully dedicated, which is Hank and Jeff's company, fully dedicated to BNS. It's sort of a side project for me. I'm investigating some other things at the moment. I mean, like hoping to build on top of it, like, but it's not like something I'm working on 24 hours a day. That helps.
Because I think maybe this is something I think perhaps for us to look into maybe in the future or near future is, having sort of, dedicated sort of developers. Not to say that you and Hank aren't dedicated, because you absolutely are to BNS, but in order to be able to sort of move us forward within a sort of a nice ample amount of sort of time, if you like, because I guess this is one of the things I guess that our competitors, I say competitors, inverted commas, naming systems, L1 based naming systems is that they have dedicated teams, working on the development, progressing their projects. I think that's just one of the things that I've very much become more sort of consciously aware of over the last 2 to 3 months, is that I almost feel like BNS really needs to have kind of more developers, I think, maybe working on it, in order for us to be able to roll out things maybe quicker, or and I guess there's also an element of the decentralized. There's a decentralized element to it, isn't there, that has kind of also means that we have to reach sort of consensus on various issues and things, and there's a bit of red tape bureaucracy that sort of slows us down a little bit compared to these businesses, perhaps, maybe. And I don't know, I'm just sort of
no, you're totally totally the same view. But the question, and what you've been saying, I've been saying for a couple of years now. But it's always a question of, okay, well, you're more than welcome to do it. You want to develop, you want to fund them. I mean, like, and so that's like, and so it's just been it's kind of been like a collective action problem. Like Jeff and Hank came out few months ago and said, okay, we're trying to be like the BNS people. Okay, so you're the BNS people. That means I don't need. So okay, so where's the BNS? Okay, so I mean I don't know. And then like I mean I don't want to say that. I mean like then, and there's been various companies in the ecosystem that have sort of like either come out publicly and said they're working on it, or like through the back channels you've heard they're going to put a bunch of money into it, and it has or hasn't materialized. I think on the last call we talked a lot of, I don't remember who exactly was here, but one of the questions was collecting fees from like domain sales and having a pot of money, right, a DAO or whatever. And then and one of the and yes, I definitely see the benefit of that. And like the question is who's going to hold the money? And I raised my hand and said I don't hold the money. I don't want to deal with the regulatory hand. Like so someone needs to step up to do it. And happy to facilitate in terms of like people opinions, or I don't know, like get people together. But like in terms of creating a pot of money, I mean like it was the original pitch for Stacks was that like, well, why does Stacks need a token and what's the value going to be? Well, the value is going to be like people are going to register names, they're going to burn these tokens, right? And then the whole platform has sort of switched, right? So it's very hard for Stacks to capture the value from BNS, like, and that wasn't really getting.
I mean, I think, and I don't. Maybe I'm sort of, perhaps making this up. I'm not too sure, but I sort of get the feeling, and this was going back to a tweet that Jude made a couple of months ago, where
I'm blocked, so I couldn't see it.
Well, he said he said that BNS was just a tool and a bit of code, and then I replied to him with my info_BNS account, not with the BNS DAO account at the time, and I said, Jude, there's a dedicated community here of 1,700 people. This is more than just a tool code. You've actually got people that have a vested interest in BNS and in its growth and development. So I think I almost feel like there's been a pivotal change happen, I think, since the end of last year, where BNS is far more than a tool and code. It's actually actually a fully fledged community behind it. And I sort of feel like we need people in the leadership positions, let's say, within Stacks, to sort of see it that way and to dedicate some funding towards BNS and just towards its development. And I think Tommy sort of feels the same as me. I actually think that BNS could be a real driver for Stacks growth. In the near future, especially through this UD partnership, it could really help to accelerate growth and adoption for the network. So
how I found Stacks.
Exactly. I mean, I think I'm totally on board with you. I agree 100%. So I think that the question is, what is the action to like do this, right? Like, and I mean, I think Gina was a good person that helped start Trust Machines, right? And they've raised a ton of money, and I know that they've been dabbling on investing in BNS in various ways, at least from what I've heard. I don't know what their current status is at. I haven't talked to her, one-on-one for a few months now. So I mean, perhaps it's a good step, at least for me, since I know a lot of the characters, would be to like connect with all of them and see what what exactly is going on here. Like, what is your organization's commitment to BNS? And if it is something great, like how come we don't know about it? Or if it's nothing, okay, fine. Like, how do we get a commitment to BNS? And then start to think about like what sort of structure could be behind that. Because I don't think that there's been talk about like Stack Foundation grants, and it seems like there needs to be some sort of degree of autonomy. Like there needs to sort of be, I don't want to say a foundation for BNS, but like, something, something with at least, a couple of people working together, and that's like their full-time sort of thing, pushing this forward. Maybe they're not doing the development, but like maybe they're at least coordinating sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been, obviously I won't divulge any conversations, but I've been speaking to Mitchell from Stacks Foundation.
Yeah.
So I just had a number of questions to ask him, but you know, from what I gather with regards to the grants, you know, the grant making sort of system, if you like, it's very much geared around the development of very specific things, and it's quite narrow. It feels quite narrow. There's not much of a sort of a, you know, kind of, I don't know, maybe not spontaneity, you know, it's not, maybe not spontaneity, but there doesn't seem to be much of a sort of a creative sort of element to the funding sort of procedure, you know, and BNS is I think is a prime example. You know, we have this fantastic community behind us. You know, I think we need to start really accelerating the development with BNS. I think there's so much potential there. Yet the leadership in Stacks just, as I say, don't seem to see it. And yeah, maybe myself and maybe Tommy as well. You know, we need to come up with some sort of proposal, and we need to have a video call with and with yourself as well, maybe Larry and Hank. You know, we need to have a video call with the people, the sort of leadership side, let's say, in Stacks, and also with Mitchell as well in the Stacks Foundation. And we need to say, look, I think we need to have, you know, a little dedicated pot of funding here to go towards the development of BNS, because actually this is going to be an amazing driver for growth of the Stacks network. You know, we need to have your attention here with regards to this. And also as well, you mentioned Treasury as well, Larry. So I did mention this to Mitchell, and he said that, you know, it's something that they would be potentially open to, you know, to co-managing. The Stacks Foundation would potentially co-manage the Treasury. So yeah, he just said, you know, just draw up a document, a proposal, submit it, and, you know, and then we'll sort of consider things. But I definitely do think, yeah, and Tommy might agree with me on this. I think we need to have like a face-to-face conversation with the Stacks sort of leadership, and you know, just to say, look, I think we need to start dedicating, you know, a small pot of funds towards the development of BNS, because this is going to be, I feel anyway, fundamentally important for Stacks growth in the coming years.
Yeah, it would be good to at least know where do we fall on their scale. You know, where do we fall in importance, and do they understand that as BNS has grown, this is an entry point for people into Stacks. I mean, again, that's how I found Stacks. I would have never found Stacks, would have never bought STX if I wasn't trying to buy a .btc domain. And I was trying to buy a .btc domain because I had, you know, gone down the other path, UD, ENS, all of that, and I found, oh, cool, .btc, of course I want that. How do I get that? And it was an entry point into Stacks. I think more and more as this community has grown, that's been an entry point to Stacks. And it almost feels like Stacks doesn't quite understand that yet, or doesn't see that as BNS grows, as BNS gets more marketing, as partnerships happen, as things like that happen. This is a really good entry point for people to get into Stacks. And I don't know if they quite see it that way yet. Maybe they still see BNS as BNS a year or 2 years, or, you know, however long ago, where it was just a tool, and it's a lot more than that now.
Yeah. And it's interesting because like,
oh, sorry, Cody.
What were you saying, Snazzy? Yeah, it's interesting. Like I said before, with Fortnite, like it shows you how, like, yeah, it could connect to any website, any app that you could find. So the use case of bringing mass adoption to Stacks is possible using BNS. That means that anybody who works at BNS or able to partner with us could eventually have a Stacks account just by having BNS. So it shows you the possibilities. And the question I have is, like, how much funding do we have for BNS or possible funding? Because I do know a team of devs that are willing to help out, but I'm not sure how much funding is there to, you know, to support the BNS ecosystem.
I think it's Zero.
Zero.
Oh man.
Yeah.
How much are you investing?
This is yeah.
I mean,
This is the fundamental
Snazzy and I
problem.
have been, yeah, Snazzy and I have been trying to work a deal, and that's actually what's holding it up. It's funding.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it would immediately blow up BNS. I mean, you know, I can't talk about all the details of it, but it would be huge, and that's where we're stuck is the funding part.
Yeah.
So
The funding to
Yeah.
get something done, or I mean, can you share more with everybody or not?
Yeah.
You're
well,
That's your built ass. Well, wait, tell me my bad. What is it?
I mean, you know, we could say enough that there's this ongoing or possible partnership with the Web3 Alliance and with UD, and that would open up a lot of opportunities for BNS to be on multiple wallets, multiple exchanges, things like that. That's about as far as I think, Snazzy, we can really go without
Yeah.
breaking the non-compete or the NDA that we signed.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was plastered on Twitter a little bit, but
yeah,
yeah. I mean, it involves partnerships and integrations in essence with wallets. So
lots and lots of wallets.
yes, yeah, and you know that have millions of users. So we're
Right,
not
right.
just talking about small kind of crypto wallets here. We're talking about the big guns.
That's
you
right.
know,
I don't want you guys to divulge too much of this, but like the question though was like you said you're stuck on funding, right? So
Mhm.
that means you need to raise funding for this to go forward, or like you need like what aspect of funding? Like I didn't understand the comment when you say you're stuck on funding.
Well, I think I mean, in essence, I think what what Cordy obviously was saying there was he was trying to work out whether we sort of receive, I guess, sort of funding for the development, for BNS specifically. And I imagine maybe yourself, Larry, and obviously Hank and Jeff, do receive a little bit of a bit of sort of funding from Stacks, to assist with development of BNS. I imagine.
But don't get any funding from Stacks. Totally independent.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it's completely voluntary.
It's complete. Yeah, I have a company run, and I need to figure out how to return on my own investment, and like,
Wow.
and so like,
Okay.
if I do that through BNS, I'll do that. If I can't, I'll go do that through Stripe. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Right.
like, I mean, I invest personally in Stacks, right? Which the
Yeah.
companies in Stacks are designed here, but I don't get any funding from like the foundation or anything like that, right? And I used to
Right.
work for them years ago, right? But
So we've got a bigger problem than I thought.
so that's the. I mean, so I guess the difference between other ecosystems in here is that we're totally separate, right? Like there's no control. Like I don't get a paycheck from anybody, right? I get paychecks from my own company, but I sign them, right? Like, so it's just moving money from one side to the other. So like, I'm here because I care about this. I'm invested in Stacks, invested in the ecosystem. I really want it to go forward. And like, I totally see the problems that you're saying here. Like my perspective, like, this discussion about like a treasury, a DAO, like, I've talked to this about other people in the community for a couple of years. And the issue is that like, there needs to be someone that does it, right? There needs to be that someone has the gun X mark on the back of their head for the regulators, right? So if you're going to do a token sale like ENS, right, then someone needs to do that. Like if I had interest in doing that, right, I would have done it many times over and over and over, right? And wouldn't be sitting here. But it's just not like not something I'm interested in because of the regulatory risk. Okay, so that means it needs to be like, okay, I'm going to raise money for a foundation, right, and promise to the people giving money they're going to get X, Y, Z out of it, right, and then I'm going to manage the money and hire people to manage this team, right. And so the question is who is going to do that, and like someone needs to do that, and right. So my like I talked about this in the last call is my view of how this is developed, which is turning out not to be the case, was that people would figure out how to build businesses using BNS. Be like, just how like Cloudflare sort of contributes to DNS development, right? Then like these businesses be like, oh, BNS is critical to my business. Like, of course, I'm gonna put one engineer on the Linux kernel, right? Like,
Mhm.
but it hasn't. It turned out that like they've become speculative assets, right? And people, and so it's like it's played out differently than I.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
mean, speculation is, there is speculation in the DNS world and any other sort of naming system.
Right.
It
But speculators in DNS don't fund DNS development, and they don't play pretty much. I mean, they're just sort of causing problem. I mean, they provide the liquidity perhaps for names, like so right?
Yeah.
But they don't actually create technology. They don't like.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's very true. Yeah, it's very true. Yeah, there's sort of they don't really provide much value really in other than obviously having a vested interest in BNS and its development and obviously wanting to see progress. But this is why we have a council. Well, it definitely is now. I think subsequent councils have perhaps not been very effective, let's say. But we've got a fantastic council on board now. And I think, I think for the council as well, I think it's important for us to have a little bit of agility in being able to make decisions, between the 9 of us, vote on things, of which we have done, like for instance, with the recent brand refresh, that was something that we voted and decided upon, and it can be changed and tweaked, and but with regards to the treasury, the whole treasury idea, I mean, we've definitely not spoken about a token sale. So that's never. I don't think that's ever come under discussion in our sort of chat. Yeah, I mean, with regards to the treasury, it wouldn't be fully managed. So it wouldn't be fully managed by the council. The idea, I think, behind that is that it would be co-managed between the council and the elected council, I must say, because we're not sort of self-elected. It's the community at the end of the day who has decided, who gets to be in the council, and that is chosen on a quarterly basis. But yeah, it would be co-managed. This is the hope. It would be co-managed with the Stacks Foundation, with Mitchell and other people that are involved in the Stacks Foundation. If we had this in place, for instance, when BNS DAO was, I mean, if we were somehow able to upgrade, let's say, the BNS core contract, and when the BNS DAO was created last October, I think between then and now, I think we probably had a couple of 100,000. There was a huge explosion in registrations of BNS names, and 2 stacks each, that would have equated to about 400,000 stacks that would have been in a BNS treasury, which we could have used for funding, to help fund development, to help fund marketing initiatives, to help fund this, this partnership, which, and there is a cost involved. Obviously, I can't go into details and things, but, and hence this is why we've been communicating with TM to assist us with the funding on that. So, I think things would have moved a lot faster, I think, ultimately, if we had some sort of treasury in place, and if we were able to manage those funds responsibly with the help of Stacks Foundation as a co-manager sort of backup, if you like. And this is it. The crux of it is that everyone is incredibly passionate about BNS. That's fantastic, but we're all volunteers. It's all voluntary, and I honestly don't mind being a volunteer, being on the BNS Council, but I do really think for BNS to really progress and move forward, and to accelerate its growth, we need to have funds in place. We need to have a treasury, and we probably need to have a grant provision from the Stacks Foundation.
I mean, doesn't it seem like, I mean, this is all interesting partnerships, so it seems like is if you just make a product that has a killer use case, like the other stuff's not important, right? People will come, and I think that's just not what's happened. Blair, you're comparing this to like, oh, people are speculating and trading them. Okay, that's great. Like, but like, is anybody using it for anything? And I mean, the answer is probably not. And like, yeah.
So I have an answer for that. So I create a Telegram chat.
Yeah.
I sent you a link to it, Larry. And I sent
Yeah,
Snazzy
sure.
as well. So what's happening there is like I have the guys from 1WE. He's in there now. So 1WE is a no code site building tool. It's currently being used for BNS. So now he's in the chat with us on Telegram, and I also have Snazzy on there. I want to have you in there because you're more technical. That could help us out. And then I also have Ort, a company I work for as well. So the thing now is that we gotta create utility, and the best way to bring on the businesses is to have, show that, hey, we could have our sites on top of BNS, and that'd be a good little way to lure them in. Like, hey, we're real, we're official. So let me know if you're interested in like hopping on the Telegram chat and bring this.
Do you want to just put the link in the call chat? Can we all join?
Yes, I'll send you a link now.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, that'd be brilliant. Yeah, so yeah, I think we covered those. Yeah, so the next thing I guess is, or the last thing on my sort of agenda was the L2 to L1 solution. Have you sort of received a sort of a progress update from Hank, Larry, at all?
I haven't. I mean, I've seen a bit, but I'm not sure actually what I'm supposed to share. So I think that I'll say that I don't have a progress update as of right now. But I will I mean, I know he's written something up. I don't know I've seen it, but I'm not sure if it's supposed to be shared or not.
Okay.
So the progress is that there is progress. There's like a plan that's been written up, but I'm not sure what. I think it's still a discussion page.
Yeah. I think Delhoom's also made a very good point as well. Whether we're able to do these calls weekly.
I'm happy to. I couldn't get people. People didn't seem to like. I was like originally the trouble with scheduling these calls is I was trying to get them. In fact, the reason we have this time is because Ken from X1st said he could attend. And we've seen how many times he's attended, and also Mark. This was the time to overlap for him. Ken from X1st and Mark from Hero Walt. They were both going to get on the call at the same time. And unfortunately, I don't know. They have other stuff going on. I'm happy to set this up weekly, or someone else is welcome to take the lead and lead it weekly. I mean, the problem is I'm not sure I can days, just because it's right.
Yeah,
it's like
it's late for you, isn't it?
It kills my Thursday. Yeah, it's like 11:07 right now.
Gosh.
But yeah, I mean, it's if it's useful, we could do it. We could do it weekly. I mean, what do you need? I mean, I can just set it. I can just set the schedule to be weekly. It requires a bit of overhead. I'll be honest with you, I haven't done I have to posting the meeting notes and stuff like that. I just want to make sure it's useful for people's time as opposed to just having because
Absolutely.
I mean, it's next Thursday is coming pretty quickly. I have to I know Hank's traveling this week through the weekend, so I need to catch up with him, and it's really a question of how much more we're gonna have to talk about in.
Yeah, true.
So
yeah.
I'm very, especially since a lot of the people who I would like to get to join, they're very they have Gina's super busy, right? She's got a million things going on. So if we make it every week, I mean, I think that if you want to have a call every week, you should definitely do that. But if it's useful for you to join, I want to minimize because it's every week is we're already over time. We end up going for about an hour each time usually. So that's that's a week, right? That's a lot of time per month, right? For people that are doing other stuff.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
you have a job, right? Usually.
Yeah, I should be working right now, but
is it related to BNS?
It's not. No, it's
okay.
I'm a BDM for a tech company, so hence why I've just been just before I started, I've just really wanted to drive the partnerships for BNS. So that's why me and Tommy have really just gone for UD, and we've been communicating with their BDM. And
I'm sorry, UD it's UD, like, the guy in the internet.
Unstoppable
Oh.
Domains.
Okay, the Zilliqa people, right? Originally.
Polygon. I think they're on Polygon.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I kept hearing Udi, like the Udi, the wizard guy.
Oh,
so-
no.
I was like, well, I know I've been away from the internet a lot this month, but I'm like moving and stuff. But like, what he started to do.
Yeah. I know. I do hate abbreviations at times because it's just like, yeah, you can just abbreviate everything. But Unstoppable Domains.
Cool.
Yeah, we've been communicating with them for feels like 2 months now. It's taken such a long time. But again, if we had our own pot of money, if we had our own treasury, we probably would have finalized this 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's just
They keep money from you?
it will cost. Yeah, there is a cost associated with it. Yeah.
Are they selling names? Like what? Like why do they want money?
I can't go into the details of it, but
Sounds really sketchy. But anyway,
it's not sketchy. No, it's absolutely
No.
not sketchy.
Okay.
It's huge. It's absolutely
Okay.
huge for BNS and for Stacks as well, because it could open up doors for Stacks to also get integrated into wallets and exchanges and all sorts of stuff. So it could be it's an amazing opportunity. And this is why I do get a little bit annoyed that sometimes I feel like the blinkers are on with Stacks, with the leadership, and there's sort of focus right now.
well, there is no leadership, so you
Okay.
can find it.
I know. I struggle to know how to refer to it, but there are people that have.
Who are the Bitcoin leadership?
Okay, there are people with strong opinions that make, that decide the direction. Let's say, and they're very much focused on SBTC right now, which is completely understandable.
Yeah.
It's completely understandable, and it's going to be a fantastic thing for Stacks. However, my feeling is that BNS and this partnership with UD is going to bring far more adoption near term. Like, that's what I believe anyway, than SBTC. I think SBTC definitely has an amazing use case, and it's incredibly important for Stacks.
Yes.
But for adoption, for driving
Yes.
growth and adoption of the network, for me, this partnership with UD is essential. Really,
I think as
in
well.
my
Cool. I
opinion.
mean, you convinced me.
Sorry, Gary. I was going to pick up on a point
Go
you made earlier about BNS and killer use case. It may not be there, right? And I think you're right that people aren't really using it at the moment. But the whole explosion of the Bitcoin ecosystem is happening right now, and the inevitability of using something like an L2 and the inevitability of that being Stacks once SBT sees in, right? I listened to that Manib interview, and it all makes sense, right? It's not probably that usable. The block times aren't short enough until SBTC comes in. But if we wait until then to do anything with BNS, we're not ready. The second that the DeFi summer comes in for Bitcoin, like it did for Ethereum, which is sort of how I see it moving, it's like then it becomes very useful. Then it's got all of the NS's functionality, right? Because people start using the addresses to move the assets, to do DeFi, to do everything. So you can almost mirror killer use case against what the big domain naming services are doing. And at the moment, we've got some speculators and we've got some people playing with it and whatever. But assuming Bitcoin does what we think it's going to do, which we're getting very strong signals in the market right now,
Absolutely.
it will come, and we need to be ready, is my position on it, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And with that, I do have to shoot off now and actually do some work. So nice to meet you.
Can I ask one quick question for you? I want to just make sure I understand. So Snazzy BNS Council, like I want to just figure out whoever is affiliated and related here, so I know who I'm talking to. That way I can have a view of the community.
Yeah, so I'm BNS Council.
Okay.
Is BNS Council. Tommy's BNS Council. Cordy's BNS Council.
Okay.
Daloon is moderator, and has 10,000 BNS names.
Okay. Sorry about the whole.
Daloon is a BNS whale, basically. Oh,
Oh,
11K. Dillium's got 11K.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, I'm
So
so excited.
anyway.
I'm really happy that you guys took the time to come and talk, and I get the message. My life here is sorting out like finally and so hopefully I can dedicate more time to this. I mean, because I just have always, this is BNS is what brought me to what became Stacks initially before I joined them, and I just have a place for it in my heart. So I want to now that there are other people that care about it, it's great, because I felt for a long time it was only me. So
Yeah. Look,
We're with you now, Larry. We're all here.
that's it. Yeah, we're all here. We've turned up. You know, we're passionate BNS investors, and we just want to see it move forward. And
okay,
we just want to accelerate things, and you know, and make BNS as big as ENS. You know,
okay, bigger.
bigger than
Yeah.
ENS. Exactly.
And,
Yeah.
The B means bigger. The big B means bigger.
and Larry, the thing you did with Nostro was very eye-opening for me too. I was like, wow, you can have business in multiple apps. That's why I was like, okay, I see a lot of use cases. Because
That's awesome.
if you could bring BNS to Nostro, you could bring BNS to any app that you use and have that Bitcoin Stacks wallet added to it. And I'm like, okay, this is a good opportunity.
That's awesome. I'm glad it's useful.
Well,
Do you have any it's difficult with the leadership model and the leadership model. Do you have any dialogue with Manib? And the reason I ask is just because I don't know where people who are like at the forefront of development, shall we say, Stacks, where they sit on BNS, what they think of it. I saw a comment of his on Twitter recently where he referred Jack Dorsey to as Sat's name for Nostra, and I don't know if that was tongue in cheek or I've not. And I reach out to him regularly, like on comments and stuff, but you know, he doesn't know who I am. He never responds. I just
he's very supportive, and I think it's just he's pulling it in multiple directions. Got a lot on his plate, and I think I think if we as the community deliver something that like makes sense, like see you later, Stan. I'm happy to chat with people on stage, but good to see you, Snazzy.
yeah, good to see you, Dave.
I'm gonna stop the call. I'm gonna stop the recording too, just so we can talk without recording a little bit better.